In this video, we're exploring some of Australia's most fascinating coins, the ones that tell stories, hide secrets, and even hold surprising market value. From historic designs to modern rarities, each coin has a tale waiting to be uncovered, and some even feature rare, minting quirks that make them highly sought after by collectors. First up, imagine stepping back in time to the late 1960s in Australia, a country that had only recently adopted its decimal currency system. The date is 1969, and in every pocket, purse and cash register, you might find a humble, yet striking piece of coinage, the Australian 20-cent coin, bearing the graceful image of a platypus swimming in its natural habitat. This coin is more than just a medium of exchange. It is a small, tangible piece of Australia's numismatic history. The story begins a few years earlier. On 14th of February 1966, Australia made the monumental shift from the old pounds, shillings and pence system to decimal currency. Among the coins introduced in this new system was the 20-cent piece. The Royal Australian Mint, established in Canberra, took on the responsibility of coining this denomination. By 1969, the design of the 20c coin had been firmly established. The obverse, or head side, features the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted in the style of Arnold Machine, a well-known design of the era. On the reverse, crafted by the gifted designer Stuart Devlin, is the beloved platypus, gliding through water with fluid lines, symbolic of Australia's unique wildlife and natural heritage. Physically, this coin is substantial and robust. It weighs about 11.3 grams, has a diameter of about 28.65 millimeters, and is composed of a copper-nickel alloy, specifically 75% copper and 25% nickel. The edge is milled, that is, it has ridges, which was common for many circulating coins, both for security and to help the visually impaired distinguish coins by touch. In terms of production numbers, the mintage for the 1969 issue is quite significant. According to the Royal Australian Mint's published figures, around 16.5 million of these coins were struck in that year. Coin Varieties resources corroborate this, listing a recorded mintage of 16,520,000. Given this relatively high mintage, the 1969 20c is not exceedingly rare but common in terms of production, does not always translate into low collector interest. Over time, as these coins circulated, many of them entered pocket change, piggy banks and cash registers. As with most circulating currency, countless specimens experienced wear, scratches, discoloration, and patina. Nonetheless, for collectors, especially those who specialize in decimal-era Australian coins, the 1969 20c holds enduring appeal, a combination of historical significance, attractive design, and moderate scarcity in uncirculated condition. Now, turning to market values, the picture becomes a bit more nuanced. According to online coin cataloging sources, a 1969 Australian 20-cent coin in uncirculated UNC condition can be worth around US $1.50 in lower grade uncirculated. That figure may seem modest, but it reflects the base value for standard grade specimens not showing strong eye appeal or deep luster. However, not all UNC coins are created equal. A choice uncirculated 1969 20c, meaning a coin that is exceptionally well struck, with sharp detail, minimal marks, and better overall quality, has been listed by specialized dealers. For instance, the Purple Penny, a well-known coin dealer, offered a choice uncirculated 1969 20c for AUD $6,000. That demonstrates how collector demand and condition premium can substantially elevate the value. In more typical market conditions, for coins that have circulated but remain in decent physical state, listings on marketplaces like eBay show examples of the 1969 20c selling for AU $13,000 to around AU $14,000, depending on the seller, demand and exact condition. One eBay listing by a coin seller described the 1969 20c as a rare and low, mintage scarce coin in good condition, pricing individual pieces at AU $14,000 when sold in quantity. On another eBay listing, a 1969 20C was offered for AU $16,500, suggesting that some sellers and collectors assign higher value to well-preserved or particularly nice specimens. Why such variation? Several factors play into the worth of a 1969 20C coin: its grade or condition, how well the design details are preserved, especially the platypus, whether it has any spotting, discoloration, or toning, and whether the buyer is a collector versus someone just looking to offload spare coins. For example, a coin untouched by circulation, perhaps still retaining mint luster in its original packaging, or slabbed by a grading service, will typically command significantly more premium than one that has been in pockets for decades. Historical and cultural significance also adds to its story. This is a coin from a transitional era in Australian currency. The 20C piece, introduced in 1966, marked a modern decimal future. By 1969, the decimal coins had firmly taken root in everyday life. Having a 1969 piece means owning a persistent piece of that early decimal age legacy. Collectors may also be on the lookout for error varieties or unusual strikes, though for the 1969 20C specifically, there are no extremely famous wavy baseline varieties like those known from some 1966 20C coins. It's worth noting that the wavy baseline error, where the top line of the 2 in 20 has a wave-like distortion, is one of the more sought-after variants among 1966 20C coins. For 1969, most coins are standard strike. Therefore, rare error premiums are less commonly seen, and much of the value comes from condition rather than dramatic minting anomalies. From a numismatic perspective, the 1969 20-cent coin is both accessible and meaningful. It is not so rare that it's unobtainable for average collectors, yet it retains enough collector interest to be worth seeking, especially in high grade. For someone building a collection of early decimal Australian coinage, securing a 1969 20C in choice uncirculated condition at around AUD $16,000 represents a solid acquisition, combining historical weight, design beauty, and long-term tangible value. Looking ahead, what might influence its value in the future? Several things. Collector demand could increase over time, especially as fewer uncirculated examples remain in pristine condition. Market trends in world coin collecting. As more people appreciate decimal-era coins, demand could push up prices. Condition scarcity. Even though over 16 million were made, true gem 1969. 20C coins with perfect luster and no blemishes are rarer than the overall mintage suggests. Historical context. As the memory of the early decimal era recedes, these coins may gain more nostalgic or heritage value. The 1969 Australian 20-cent coin is a fascinating piece. It carries with it not just face value, but decades of Australian history, design and numismatic appeal. While many examples remain in the hands of everyday users or tucked away in coin jars, those who pause to examine one closely may find a coin that is both ordinary in mintage but extraordinary in story, and depending on their condition, well worth a closer look and potentially a meaningful sum in the collector's marketplace. Next up, the 1981 Australian 20-cent coin is a piece of sterling silver history that you can hold in the palm of your hand. A direct and tangible link to a bygone era of Australian coinage that feels both familiar and yet fundamentally different from the coins we use today. To understand its significance and its market value is to embark on a journey through metallurgy, art, and the very practical economics of a nation's minting process. The very first fact that separates this coin from its modern counterparts is its composition. The 1981 20-cent piece is minted from a solid alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a formula that gives it a distinctive, cool white-silver appearance and a satisfying substantiality. That was abruptly discontinued just a few years later. This specific metallic identity is the cornerstone of its story, a story that begins with its introduction in 1966, when Australia decimalised its currency, moving from pounds and pence to the dollars and cents system we know today. The 1981 issue, therefore, sits squarely in the middle of this classic period. A year that on the surface seems utterly routine, but which upon closer inspection reveals the subtle nuances that drive collector demand and market value. The artistic design of the coin is a masterpiece of Australian symbolism, one that has remained utterly unchanged since its debut, making the date the primary variable for collectors. The reverse side, designed by the acclaimed sculptor Stuart Devlin, features a stunning and dynamic portrait of a platypus, swimming in its natural element. This is not a static heraldic image. It is a creature captured in mid-motion, with the lines of the water flowing around its body, creating a sense of fluid life and energy. The level of intricate detail is remarkable, from the textured, sleek fur on its back to the delicate webbing of its feet, and the peculiar, iconic bill that makes the animal so unique. This platypus is more than just a native animal. It is a symbol of Australia's extraordinary and unique wildlife, an emblem of a nation whose natural history is unlike any other on Earth. The word Australia arcs above the creature, while the denomination, 20 cents, is clearly stated below, all framed by a denticled rim that gives the coin its finished, official character. The obverse of the coin, as was the case for all Australian decimal coinage in 1981, features the regal portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. Tai. This specific portrait is the work of Arnold Machin, and it is an image of profound elegance and grace. The portrait shows the Queen facing right, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a piece she personally favoured. The machine portrait is renowned for its harmonious and soft-focused modelling, creating a dignified and timeless likeness that was used on British and Commonwealth coinage for decades. For the 1981 20 cent, this portrait grounds the coin in its historical context, a period still firmly within the late 20th century Commonwealth. The inscription, Elizabeth to Australia, 1981, encircles the portrait, completing the official obverse design. It is important to note that the design itself does not carry a premium for this year. Its value lies in its execution and preservation. When it comes to assigning a concrete market value to the 1981 20-cent coin, the entire discussion hinges on a single, critical factor: condition. Unlike some years, there are no rare mint marks or dramatic compositional errors for 1981. The hunt is for quality and perfection. The Royal Australian Mint in Canberra produced a staggering 45.4 million of these coins for general circulation. This immense mintage means that finding a 1981 20-cent coin is an everyday occurrence. The vast majority of these coins spent decades passing through tills, pockets and purses, and they show it. A typical circulated 1981 20-cent coin will have wear that has softened the high points of the platypus's body and the Queen's facial features, its original luster long gone, replaced by a dull, grey patina or numerous small scratches and contact marks. For such a well-worn circulated specimen, the coin is worth exactly its face value of 20 cents. It is a piece of spent currency with no numismatic premium. The market value begins its ascent the moment we step into the realm of coins that were saved from circulation. A coin in extremely fine EF condition, which shows only the faintest traces of wear on the very highest points of the platypus's back and the Queen's crown, but still retains sharp detail overall, might command a small premium from a collector filling a date set, perhaps in the range of 50 cents to $1. However, the true value emerges with coins in uncirculated UNC or mint state MS condition. These are coins that were set aside in rolls, mint sets, or collections immediately after being struck. They have never been used as money. An uncirculated 1981 20-cent coin will possess its full, original mint luster, a beautiful cartwheeling, silvery white sheen that moves across the fields as you Rotate the coin under a light. It will be devoid of any wear whatsoever. A standard UNC example, readily available from mint sets of the year, has a market value typically between 2 tau and 5 dirhams. The pinnacle of value for this common date coin is achieved at the highest levels of preservation, as certified by independent, professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. While a coin graded MS64 is lovely, it is still relatively common. The financial premium becomes significant for coins that are virtually flawless. A 1981 20-cent coin graded MS66, which possesses a sharp strike and nearly pristine surfaces with only the most minuscule contact marks, can see its value rise to the $12,000 to $2,500 range. For the absolute finest examples, a grade of MS67 represents a coin that is as perfect as it was the day it left the minting press. A true survivor from a mintage of tens of millions. Such a superlative specimen, encapsulated and guaranteed by a top-tier grading service, can achieve a market value of $13,500 to $15,000, a staggering sum for a coin that is so common in worn condition. This dramatic price spectrum, from 20 cents to over $100, is a powerful object lesson in numismatics. It's not just what you have, but the state in which you have it. The 1981 20-cent coin is a common piece of history, but a perfect one is a numismatic treasure. Next up, the 2010 Australian 20-cent coin represents a fascinating modern paradox, a piece of currency that is at once utterly commonplace and yet historically significant. A coin whose value is almost entirely dictated by a single, extraordinary characteristic that separates a handful of specimens from the hundreds of millions of its identical siblings. To appreciate this coin fully, one must first understand its baseline identity. It is a circular cupro-nickel piece, measuring 28.65 millimeters in diameter and weighing 11.3 grams, with a reeded edge that provides both a tactile security feature and a classic numismatic feel. This physical profile had been the standard for the denomination since 1966, but a pivotal change occurred in 2006. The Royal Australian Mint transitioned the 20-cent coin from a solid, silver-white planchet to a 3-ply plated version, with a core of steel sandwiched between outer layers of copper-nickel. This makes every 20-cent coin from 2010, on a fundamental level, a different object from its pre-2006 predecessors, lighter in heft for its size and with a slightly different acoustic ring when struck. This change, driven by economic factors, forms the essential backdrop against which the drama of the 2010 issue plays out. The enduring and beloved design of the coin, a constant throughout its history, is the work of the visionary artist Stuart Devlin. The reverse face presents a masterful and dynamic depiction of a platypus in its natural aquatic environment. This is not a static heraldic emblem, but a portrait of life in motion. The sleek, streamlined body of the platypus cuts through water rendered as flowing lines, with its characteristic bill, webbed feet, and thick tail rendered in exquisite detail. The artistry captures the very essence of this enigmatic monotreme, a symbol of Australia's unique and ancient fauna. The legend Australia arches above the scene, while the denomination, 20 cents, is firmly anchored below, all contained within a raised, denticled rim that gives the coin its formal finished appearance. This iconic image has remained unchanged for decades, ensuring its immediate recognizability and cementing its place in the national consciousness. The obverse of the standard 2010 20-cent coin features the fourth effigy of Queen Elizabeth II used on Australian coinage, created by the sculptor Ian Rank Broadley. This portrait, introduced in 1999, is distinct for its more mature, realistic, and dignified portrayal of the monarch. It is a less idealized and more human rendering than the earlier Raphael Makhlouf portrait, with a stronger emphasis on line and detail, including a more pronounced jawline. The inscription, Elizabeth II Australia 2010, encircles the portrait, officially dating and contextualizing the piece. For the overwhelming majority of the 2010 20-cent coins produced, this rank broadly portrait is the standard and expected design. The Royal Australian Mint struck a staggering 64.9 million of these coins for general circulation in 2010, a number that immediately establishes its status as a highly common date. In its typical, circulated state, showing wear on the platypus's back and the Queen's crown, with its luster lost to the friction of commerce, this coin possesses no numismatic premium whatsoever. Its market value remains stubbornly at its face value of 20 cents. However, the story of the 2010 20-cent coin is completely transformed by one of the most famous and valuable minting eras in modern Australian numismatics, the incused flag quadrant obverse strike. On a very limited number of coins, a catastrophic error occurred at the mint. A fully struck standard 20-cent coin somehow found its way onto the press bed and acted as a die. When a blank planchet was fed into the press, it was struck between the normal reverse die and this already minted coin, impressing the obverse design, the Queen's portrait, incusely, or sunk into the field on the reverse side of the new coin. The result is a coin that appears normal on one side, but on the other, the platypus design is partially or completely obliterated by a ghostly mirror image of the Queen's head, sunk into the metal. The flag quadrant refers to a specific diagnostic. The incused head is positioned where the flag on the Queen's shoulder would be located. This error is exceptionally rare. The market value for a standard, uncirculated 2010 20-cent coin, preserved in mint-sealed bags or rolls, is modest, typically in the range of $2 to $5, reflecting its pristine state but common nature. But for a genuine 2010 incused flag quadrant error, the valuation enters an entirely different stratosphere. Due to its extreme rarity and its status as a king of modern Australian errors, authenticated and graded examples command astronomical prices. Depending on the sharpness of the brokerage and its overall condition, a certified example of this error coin can have a market value ranging from $5,000 to well over $15,000. This astonishing figure highlights a fundamental truth in coin collecting: rarity and desire, not metal content or face value, are the ultimate arbiters of worth. Therefore, the 2010 20-cent coin exists in two parallel realities, one as a piece of common change worth 20 cents, and the other as a numismatic legend, a modern-day treasure whose value is measured in thousands. A stark reminder that history is still being made, one accidental strike at a time, in the minting presses of the 21st century. Next up, the 2015 Australian 20-cent coin is a brilliant example of how a seemingly ordinary piece of modern currency can be imbued with layers of significance, where the pursuit of perfection and the occurrence of fascinating minting anomalies create a vibrant and multi-tiered market for collectors. At first glance, it is a standard issue from the second decade of the 21st century, a coin that millions of Australians have handled without a second thought. Its physical properties are those established in the 2006 cost-saving transition. It is struck on a 3-ply plated planchet with a steel core sandwiched between outer layers of copper nickel, giving it a weight of 11.3 grams and a diameter of 2865 millimeters. This composition provides its distinctive silver-white appearance, though seasoned collectors note it lacks the heft and resonant ring of the pre-2006 solid alloy issues. The 2015 coin is, therefore, a product of its time, a workhorse of the economy with a mintage that ran into the tens of millions, ensuring its commonality in everyday change and establishing a baseline from which all its numismatic value must be measured. The artistic soul of the coin remains one of the most beloved and consistent designs in the entire decimal series. The majestic platypus by Stuart Devlin. The reverse face is a miniature masterpiece of naturalistic engraving, capturing the enigmatic monotreme in a moment of graceful propulsion through its aquatic habitat. The fluid lines representing water, the sleek texture of its fur, the delicate rendering of its webbed feet, and the unmistakable bill all combine to create an image that is both instantly recognizable and endlessly fascinating. This design has served as the unwavering symbol of the denomination since 1966, a testament to its timeless effectiveness. The inscriptions, Australia and 20 cents, frame the animal, completing a scene that is deeply embedded in the nation's visual identity. For the vast majority of the 2015 20-cent coins, this is the only design present, executed with the Royal Australian Mint's characteristic precision. The obverse of the standard 2015 coin features the definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Ian Rank Broadley. This portrayal, introduced to Australian coinage in 1999, is renowned for its realistic and dignified approach, depicting a mature monarch with a resolute and detailed countenance. The inscription, Elizabeth II Australia 2015, encircles the portrait, officially placing the coin within its specific year. It is this very obverse design, however, that is the source of the most intriguing and valuable variety for this year. In a rare and captivating minting era, a number of 2015 20-cent coins were struck without the Rank Broadley portrait on the obverse. Instead, they feature a brockage of the platypus design. This occurs when a freshly struck coin adheres to the obverse die and then acts as a die itself, imprinting a mirror image, incuse, sunken, version of the platypus onto the next blank planche that enters the press. The result is a coin with a normal, raised platypus on one side and a ghostly, sunken, mirror image platypus on the other. This dramatic error is highly sought after. The market value for the 2015 20-cent coin is a tale of three distinct tiers, directly correlated to condition and variety. For the millions of coins that entered circulation, showing wear on the high points of the platypus and the Queen's crown, the value remains purely nominal at its face value of 20 cents. These are, for all numismatic intents and purposes, still just spending money. The second tier consists of coins preserved in uncirculated, UNC condition. These pieces, often sourced from mint rolls or annual sets, retain their full original cartwheel luster and are completely free of wear. For a standard 2015 20-cent in UNC condition, the market value is modest but present, typically ranging from $2 to $5, a premium paid for its pristine state as a representative of that year's issue. The third and most exciting tier belongs to the error coins, a 20-cent coin with a clear and dramatic brockage error on the obverse, completely replacing the Queen's portrait with a mirror image platypus, commands a substantial premium. The value here is highly dependent on the clarity and completeness of the brockage. A well-defined example of this error can have a market value ranging from $9,000 to $9,500 on the secondary market. For specimens that have been professionally authenticated, graded and encapsulated by a service like PCGS or NGC, confirming both the error's legitimacy and the coin's superior mint state condition, e.g., MS64 or higher, the value can solidify at the upper end of that range and potentially exceed it. This dramatic disparity in value, from a mere 20 cents to several $100s for a coin from the same production year, serves as a powerful object lesson in modern numismatics. It demonstrates that even in an age of mass production, the forces of error, rarity, and superior preservation can transform the most commonplace object into a coveted and valuable collectible, ensuring that every 2015 20-cent coin in one's possession is a candidate for a closer, more discerning look. Thanks for watching and happy collecting.